Welcome to the Money Talks podcast, where we keep investing and trading simple. So, I'm Michael, day trader. Most people who will probably be watching this or listening to it already know a bit about myself and what I do. So, as I said, I'm a trader, but I also create financial education content. So I have a separate brand called Let's Speculate. So this podcast is essentially a branch of that same brand. And in Let's Speculate, myself, I write newsletters, create short form videos, and also create infographics as well to basically bridge the gap between the financial markets and everyone else, because there's a lot of jargon and nonsense in the space, and I just want to make things simple, because it's not really that hard, but you just need the right knowledge to really understand how to play the game properly. So this podcast is very simple. I don't want to make it too complex or too long in time. I want to keep things short and effective, so people who want to listen and learn something new, they can. So a bit about myself: trading for about over 4 years now. I first started with crypto, then delved into stocks and FX markets as well. But one thing that I wanted to start off with before I go into the investing and the trading stuff is did you know, basically. And one thing that most people who know me, some may know and some won't know, I actually have a stutter, so a stammer, a speech impediment as what they would call it. And it's one of those things where you don't really tell, because obviously over the years, as I've grown up and as I've gone through life, you learn to speak in a way or adjust your speech so that it isn't as obvious. But again, it's one of those things where it can be deemed a weakness. And if you asked me 10 years ago if I'll be speaking on this podcast or making videos or content or anything like that, I'll just be like, why would I do that? No way, no thank you. But here I am. And it's one of those things where I want people like myself who may have a speech impediment to understand that nothing is a weakness unless you make it a weakness in your perception. So life is all about perceptions, and whatever you make of it is what it will be. So things that you may not be comfortable with or things that you may shy away from, lo and behold, they could actually become a strength in the future. So never shy away from doing something new or shy away from being yourself, especially if it's to do with speech. Your voice is as powerful as everyone else, and what you have to say is also as valuable as everyone else. So don't feel any way about it on the journey. It's cool, just chill, it's fine. It's life. We're humans, we're not perfect. So yeah, that's just something about me that people, some may know, some may not know, but yeah, it's just life. It's cool. All right, so let's get into the investing stuff. And basically, the format of the podcast is just going to be around questions. So I have a bank of questions that people always ask me over months and years, which for me, they're quite straightforward, but obviously people tend to not really understand. So I thought, okay, cool. Let me make a podcast nice and short, answer these questions, so then I can go into more detail than I do in like my newsletters or videos, etc. These questions are ranging from different topics, of course, and throughout the years, I will also have guests on the podcast in different parts of investing in the financial industry. As traders and investors, it's the same game, but everyone plays it differently. So it's always important to understand and see other perspectives and other points of views. But that's in the future, that will come. For now, let's get into the first question. Cool. Off the top of my head, I believe it was how much should you start to invest with? And this question, it's all based on your own life context. So I'll start with the main thing: only invest what you can afford to lose. Now, people always say this, and it's something that is always talked about: only invest what you can afford to lose, but they never say why. So let me explain why. When you're investing, it's all about the psychology behind it. You're just simply buying and selling something. But if you're now using more that you can afford to lose, your decisions are now going to be impacted by your emotions and by your psychology. So let's say you only have £100. It might seem small, but that £100 can go a very long way, especially if you don't need that £100. You can just leave it in the market, let it do what it's doing, and it doesn't impact you emotionally. Because if you now lose some money, you'll be like, yeah, cool, it's fine, whatever, on to the next. But if you now, let's say, use £1,000, and most people working class in the UK, that's a lot of money to them. Now put that in, every fluctuation, every tick, you're gonna be sweating. You're gonna be checking your phone, your portfolio all the time, and that isn't a right mind frame to make good decisions. So that's why you should only risk what you can afford to lose, because of the psychology and the emotions involved. You don't want to make rash decisions in investing. It's all about calculated risk and not letting emotions or other views get in the way of it. Just take a little bit and use it. And now the second point with this amount to invest is about every little counts. So although it may seem to you that £100, £50, whatever is a small amount, compounding is a beautiful thing. They call it the 8th wonder of the world because it works. Let's imagine now you have a bucket. It's empty, but then you have a tap over it and it's dripping. A drip by itself isn't really meaningful. You just think, okay, cool, whatever. But over months, years, and decades, that bucket will get filled up. And that is the same way that you should view investing with small amounts, if that is what you can afford. The amount is fine, just start. The sooner that you start, the easier it will be to I would say, let compounding work for you. And over time, that small amount will turn into a bigger amount faster than you can even realize. So don't get lost in the whole social media hype of, wow, someone just made 10K, 100K, a mil. You will get there. It's cool. Just take your time. The small amount still matters. Just start and begin. But again, like I said, only risk what you can afford to lose. Because when your emotions are in check and your psychology is in check, you can make the right decisions and then actually play the game properly and actually make money. So yeah, that's the first step. Literally keep things simple. Keep your emotions out of it. Keep your psychology in check, and the small amounts matter. You can do this. Investing is not a hard thing, I promise you. This is why I make this sort of content and why I've written over 50 plus newsletters now. I've made so many videos. It's all about how you view it, but the knowledge that you have behind it. So yeah, first step done. I hope that you've learned something new, learned something about myself, and yeah, there'll be more to come. I'm really looking forward to this new segment of my content, because I feel like I have a lot to say sometimes, and this will give me the opportunity to just chat there, and I have lots to say. So yeah, let's see how this goes. All my links and my other branches of Let's Speculate will be in the description or the box, like wherever. And then yeah, subscribe, follow, share it with whoever you want, because again, sharing the knowledge is how we are able to, as a community, make this the norm. There's always a lot of things on social media that is quite frankly nonsense. There's a lot of consumption of nonsense, but if you can actually share some good knowledge with everyone else, then we can actually start bridging that gap between ourselves, the markets, and generational wealth. All right, thank you. See you later.